Hi, my name is Will, and welcome to the Distorted Transmission for today. I'm talking to a guy called Lorenzo Hazelwood. How are you?
Good, thanks, man. Happy to be here.
You contacted me a few days ago and you said that you had like a solo project thing going on, which I was blissfully unaware of. Um, so I did a bit of research today, and you've been doing sort of live streams, and I was surprised to find out that you actually had two EPs out prior to this. So this is not like your first EP drop. This is actually your third. So when's this EP coming out?
So the first single from the EP is coming out 11th of March. So I'll release the first single. It's called Shadows on, the streaming platforms and YouTube and stuff. But I'll also be putting the full EP on Bandcamp for maybe like $5. And then the rest of the songs will sort of follow, 2 weeks later, the next one, 2 weeks later, the next one, and then eventually it'll all be online for free.
You're in a band called Close to the Bone. So what sort of made you decide to do the solo project thing alongside that?
Pretty much as soon as I started singing, because I played guitar for a long time and then started singing a few years later, I sort of, was writing songs of my own and knew that I wanted to be some sort of solo artist somewhere down the road. Got hooked up with the Close to the Bone boys, and that sort of took front and center for a couple of years. And then it was actually during the first lockdown that we had here in New Zealand that I had the time on my hands. I had a bit of, recording knowledge and sort of enough gear where I could self-record the Volume 1 EP. So yeah, sort of all kickstarted from having the time on my hands during lockdown, really.
So as far as the Close to the Bone stuff, are you one of the sort of predominant songwriters for that?
It's definitely a group effort. I do all the vocals and the lyrics. So in that sense, I guess I'm a big part of it as well, but it's mostly, Oscar comes up with riffs and choruses and guitar parts, and then the other, all four of us collaborate on the song arrangements and all that stuff. But yeah, I just handled the vocals for that band.
What kind of concept came around first? Were you sort of like a band man first, and then you sort of went out on this sort of solo buzz, or were you sort of always like sort of a solo musician and then you sort of fell into a band along the way?
It sort of happened sort of parallel to each other, because I was doing a few cover gigs as a solo artist at bars and pubs and stuff, a lot of them at Ding Dong, and I met Oscar and some of the boys from Close to the Bone, and so I was really doing them both at the same time. And now it is very much like that. We've recorded some Close to the Bone tracks recently, as well as recording my solo thing, so it's definitely keeping me busy going at the same time. Yeah,
I think it's a good thing to have a couple of projects going as well. I think it keeps you kind of fresh as you jump from one to the other. It sort of gives you some perspective. And
for sure. I feel like I have a lot of control. In my solo stuff, I get to decide, everything about the song is my decision. I don't have to run it past anyone else to get their opinions as well. So it's quite liberating having that, as well as being able to work with a team and a band, So I'm glad to have both sides of the coin.
So as far as the recording of the EPs, is that a sort of a self?
So the first EP was I recorded everything myself and I sent it off to be mixed professionally. And then the second EP, Volume 2, I contacted a producer, Scott Seabright. And so I've worked with him on Volume 2 and this one, Volume 3. So he's pretty much enabled me to do this whole thing with the it's called the Artist Development Fund through NZ On Air. So that was really, I feel super lucky to have worked with Scott during the Volume 2 sessions. He mentioned, hey, there's this fund that's happening, we could apply for you and record some songs. And he sort of, said, don't get your hopes up, it might not happen, but it's something to think about. So we did Volume 2, and I paid him for all that, just as you normally would. And then a few, it wasn't even that long after, it was maybe like 2 months after the finishing of Volume 2, he's like, hey man, we got the funding, get some songs ready. So I recorded the demos the way I recorded Volume 1 and sent them to him and worked through the songs with him. And we ended up getting a session drummer in and a session bass player in.
That was a question I was going to ask you, because I shamefully haven't actually checked out, because I only just found out that you'd had EPs before. I've seen your sort of live streams that you've done. So I was actually wondering if it was just you and a guitar, or whether there are other instruments involved in it.
I've played drums for maybe since I was 16. I just sort of self-taught myself drums because I was interested. So I played the drums on the first EP. The second EP is a little bit of, I sort of played the drum parts on the electric kit, and then me and Scott went through and added, basically programmed drums to make them a lot nicer. But yeah, it's a full rock band sound with, like layered guitars and bass and vocal harmonies and the whole drums and everything like that. So yeah.
When you contacted me about this interview, I asked you what was the name of the solo project, because I had to like write something down, and you said, oh, it was just Lorenzo Hazelwood, but I kind of came up with some sort of silly names that I imagined you could possibly use by sort of combining your first name and your surname, like for example, Laurelwood, Hazelzo, Hazel Deep, Enzo Zell, Lorenzo Hazelwood.
That's my favorite.
What sort of made you decide just to keep it your name? Is it just like a simplicity thing, or?
Yeah, I don't know. Like I talked to a few people, and just people you meet at bars, and you say, "Oh, I'm in a band or whatever," and they go, "Oh, what's your name?" And they, "Oh, my name's Lorenzo," and they're like, "Oh, shit, you could go solo with that name." So I was thinking of calling it just Lorenzo, but I don't know, just a simplicity thing. One of my favorite artists is Devin Townsend, and he's just Devin Townsend,
right.
just his name.
Could be Lorenz Solo.
Lorenz Solo.
There you go.
That would have been amazing. I missed the boat there.
When this next EP drops, I actually plan to do gigs to sort of support it. I guess in this COVID environment, it's difficult to say, but is that like a plan sort of in the back of your mind?
Yeah. So obviously it's sort of, when rather than if, so I've started jamming with a band. We've had a couple of jams in the last couple of weeks. My plan is to do sort of like a high quality live recording to sort of, instead of doing a traditional like music video and not really being able to do gigs, I'm planning on doing like a live recording thing. So we'll see if that comes to fruition. But yeah, just getting the band off the ground at the moment. I've got Oscar Miller on lead guitar, who plays in Close to the Bone as well, and a couple of other guys, Zell Koost, who played in Black Alpine and a bunch of other bands. He's on drums. So just getting that together.
Is there anything else you'd like to add to the end of the interview?
I guess just a few round of thanks to some people. Scott Seabright, my producer. If you guys need any mixing work or production work or engineering work, he's a great guy. Thanks to NZ On Air for funding that, making that all happen. The family, girlfriend Cloudy, she's a musician as well. Go check out her stuff, Cloudy. Adam Tobeck for playing drums on the album. Dan Antonovich for playing some bass.
It was Adam Tobeck, was it?
Yeah, it was Adam, man. Yep.
Old Adam.
He's a beast. Yeah, he's great. Yeah, and Oscar Miller for playing some lead guitar as well. So yeah, cheers. If
Adam's on the album, it's that's top tier shit, man.
Absolutely,
that guy's a monster.
Yep.
Thanks for chatting with me tonight, Lorenzo, and all the best for the EP release. I'll try to get this up before the 11th of March. That'd be handy, eh?
Yep, sweet as. Thanks, man.
Cool, man. Cheers. And thanks for watching.